How would you like to achieve your first million? And today we have David Baeza with us, and he is a Web3 and NFT enthusiast, travel junkie. I love to travel also. Barbecue aficionado and pickleball newbie. Pick that. So we big on family, friends, and building a great company. He's the founder and CEO of Botetost Marketing Agency, strategy and growth firm, seven venture-backed enterprise software companies. So, David, tell us, what are the 5 steps and I'm gonna that entrepreneurs should be doing out there in order to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
So if you're at the idea stage, it's changed a lot. If you had asked me pre-AI, I would have had a different answer. Product market fit has so much to do with market analysis, right? And that research was difficult in the beginning. Now what I would suggest is you can use AI to test your hypothesis. Let's just say you want to create some sort of security app that sits on top of a large language model for whatever it is. You can build, with AI, you can build your hypothetical persona or your ICP, your customer profile. You can feed that information to ChatGPT or one of the large language models, have it tell you an estimate of the market size, right? Have it then tell you, you tell it the product that you're thinking of. It can then run different scenarios to tell you if the hypothetical market would be interested in your offering. If so, how big is the opportunity, right? Before, that research was incredibly hard to come by. And I'm really simplifying the steps.
And
but in general,
and
I think
expensive, David, right?
very expensive. And I think the audience understands. There's a little bit of nuance to that, but you can figure out quickly. It can scour through LinkedIn and other sources to figure out the number of companies, the number of people, the geos, based on other things that they bought in the past. Sure, this could be an interesting market of this size to this audience, right? Next step is, okay, let's figure out how to build. I want to test it before I build it. I don't actually want to go build it yet. I want to test the market in advance of ever creating the product. So then you're going to build what's called an engagement test plan, where you can develop the creative, the copy, the marketing plan, et cetera, to reach your target audience. Then you still work with AI to test that audience. You don't ever build the product. All it's doing is showing it a piece of content, maybe a short video, an infographic, a blog post. And what it's looking for is hand raisers, people who are super interested in, like, whoa, that's sexy. I think I like that. I think that would be really cool thing to have. Then you take that information and you think, okay, now I've got something where I think I can start to build an MVP, a minimum viable 1.0 based on this research that I have conducted. It's at that point, then you start to iterate and test on your product. Then you begin to test your product into a real audience, right? And you're using that same philosophy of just one tiny step at a time. You've created, let's just say 1.0, but it's not market ready. Can you get that same audience now to sign up for a wait list? Wow, this is sexy. I think this is really cool. This is something I want to be a part of. Let's sign them up for a wait list. So scarcity matters, right? Now you're building a list. You're building an audience. So now you got a house list that you've created. Then when you're ready, you're going to invite that same audience to the first version of your product, right? So all of these steps, most of which don't cost much of anything at all,
100%.
are enough to get you people into a version 1.0 of your product. Now, they're in the product. From there, it's now a game of product market fit. They're in the product because you have to define how's product market fit defined. In my world, it's at least a year or two of revenue plus churn, right? So now you're in business. Start generating revenue. People are
People
buying
are
your
actually
product.
paying for what you have.
People are actually paying you. And then you go through this process as fast as you possibly can to get to product market fit.
100%. David, the biggest challenge that we have in this broadcast, we have 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6 multimillionaires that we have interviewed in this broadcast. They're either property or tech entrepreneurs. So we have a large part of our audience that they have the impression, what the impression of, less they look at tech and they say, wait, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6 multimillionaires that come to Harry's podcast, they are tech entrepreneurs. Tech is a good vehicle to create wealth. And however, David, this process that you describe is totally opposite. And by the way, I love it, and I agree 100% with you. What should be? But now let me tell you the scenario, because I talk a lot with tech entrepreneurs and with a lot of startups and everybody looking for funding and things like that. And this is the stereotype or what you find when somebody is out there doing tech. You find that they are creating this big product, this massive elephant that is going to solve this problem that's going to change the world. And then all of the time, money, efforts, and resources it goes into developing that product. Somehow the word MVP, like you described, everybody forget about the M. And now they develop a huge elephant. And this huge elephant, you don't know how the market want to acquire it or to buy it. And it doesn't have flexibility. It's already an elephant full of features and benefits and things that the programmer thought that is what people wanted. And then they are stuck because most of them come and talk to me, Harry, I'm looking for funding. I'm looking for money to sell the product. And I'm like, guys, you cannot even sell it yourself. How do you think that someone, an investor, is going to come to give you your money to go and try to sell something that you build it for yourself? You didn't build it for the market. So, David, what is the truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly, of becoming a millionaire in tech? Because if people follow this road that you just described, in my opinion, because it's a scale and everything, you can become wealthy really quick. If not really quick, let's not put it this way, but it's a very nice vehicle, saying like property, to create wealth if you know what you're doing. But why 90% of the people or 80% of the people, 90% of the people, they're getting the whole equation all around? Why people don't do what you describe? Why people do what I'm telling you? This is what is out there. And you go to one tech guy like this, now you speak what you just described, I just don't believe you. And so what do you think? How can we close this gap? Where this big, massive miscommunication happens between tech and tech business, how it should work?
I think because you're thinking of the wrong thing first, right? Thinking I want to go into tech because I want to be a millionaire, right? That's not the right thesis, right? I want to go into tech because I have a problem to solve. I think I can solve a problem better than anybody else, right? So I put the million aside, put all of that aside. A million is a very low bar, by the way, but I'd put that aside. And I would say, I need to see if there's a market, or I need to create a market. It's also called market engineering. For this problem, I can build a better mousetrap. I can solve a problem better through technology, whatever that is. That's the right way to approach it. And because the barrier to entry is so low now because of AI, it was very hard to get into tech before. It's not hard anymore, right? The cost to provide the service has gone to pennies. Like it's very, very, and the deep research, there's 1,000 things that were so expensive that trying to figure out first, is there a market for the problem that I want to solve, right? And is that market interested in that thing that I have to solve there? Is it big enough? Is it $100 million problem? Is it $1 billion problem? Is it a $10 billion problem? You'll quickly, through your research, figure out how big the market opportunity is, right? And those steps, which most are free, I would focus on that first. Like if you're super passionate about something, the market is the great arbiter of success, though. I don't get to decide you're successful. Your product doesn't make you successful. The market says, I like what you have. I am willing to buy it. That's the only opinion that matters. All my hypotheses around the market and the personas and the ICPs and the size of market, it all goes out the window the second your product hits the market. That's when you know what's true and what's not.
100%.
Right. And so I would put passion to solve a problem before the dollar of value you think it's going to give you. If you find value for the end user and you can remove a pain point, you're going to do very well.
David, so I'm going to ask you the question. If I give you $100, okay, and you have to a tech to get it out there, yeah, this is for our audience to have an idea how they can plan the budget. And obviously, this is your opinion. I give you $100 to create the tech product. How much of these $100 you will use in developing the product, and how much of this $100 you will use in marketing and sales, meaning taking this minimum prototype and showing to the market to see what form they want to buy and how much they want to pay. So because also these take times and resources. So I give you $100. Yeah. What would you do? Do you take 50% for product development and 50% for marketing and sales? Do you take how you will distribute these budgets for tech entrepreneurs? Because this is the thing, David. This happen. All the tech multimillionaires that we have interviewed here, the majority are not software developers. They're actually experts in marketing and sales. And when it comes a developer that is a tech multimillionaire, when it comes to a podcast, he spent the whole podcast talking about marketing and sales, never talk about programming. So if he's a programmer, he spent the whole podcast talking about marketing, sales, the strategy, man, and put this thing in front of the client and telling a story how they took this thing to the people, right? And otherwise, the guys are telling Harry, look, I'm a tech multimillionaire, but I don't know how to write a line of code. I just went out there, discovered probably exactly what you described. And when I have all those answers, I paid some dues to do it. And that's how I become a tech millionaire. So on that note, budget-wise, you have $100. How you split it?
If I had $100,
I'm not saying literally, David. I'm not saying hundreds. Don't take literally $100 with money, right? As an analogy, because I just want our audience to have an idea how they need to divide the budget when you are in the early stage. Let's say they could have 100. If with analogy with $100, let's say that they have 10,000. Let's say that they have 100,000. They can correlate. Okay, David said that we get this percentage of the money for this and the money for this and this percent of the time resources for this. They can have an idea how, because the biggest problem, David, is that when companies come to me, they are already exhausted. All time, effort, money, and energy have been allocated to product development. And there is a big elephant that they bring it to me and say, Harry, I need funding and I need to sell the product. I'm like, guys, you don't have resources, you don't have time, you don't have money, you don't have anything. You have this big elephant. And how you manage budget in time and your resources ineffectively, and this is a recipe for success. That's why we have a highly failing in space also that not too many people talk about. So how we manage the budget?
Failure in tech, and we'll talk about how to manage the budget, typically doesn't have anything to do with money.
There you go.
It just doesn't. I know I'm on the front lines of this. So I work
I can tell.
Early to mid to late stage venture-backed tech companies, right? With tens of millions of dollars in funding, or way, way more than that.
Wow.
The success rate is shockingly low, right? It's a percentage of the ones that actually win, or what they call deliver expected returns, right? And I have yet to see a case where someone who had a good product with market traction ran out of money. It doesn't happen, right? So if you're going to spend your money with your early, mid, late stage, the investment in the thing that you're trying to sell to the market is where you need to be spending and investing the majority of your time, right? You really need to be sure that you have a product that people are willing to buy and buy more than once. That's recurring. You want to make sure you have a product people are willing to pay for in the long term. Because I'm assuming these people aren't selling like sunscreen, right? If it's some sort of tech product, it's typically going to be some sort of subscription. It's going to be for long term. You really have to understand, spend your money on and understanding market viability. Is there a market large enough that I can build a sizable company? Most VCs look for billion-dollar markets. Is there a billion-dollar market for this offering? They would consider something below $1 billion to be niche. There's a $400 million market, a $500 million market, a $750 million, but is there a big market that can take multiple incumbents? That's what they're looking for. Spend the money on the offering, constantly testing and iterating and making sure, watching out for like false negatives and false positives. That comes from cognitive bias. Don't try to convince yourself that it's great. The market decides if it's great by buying it, talking about it, recommending it, and buying it again. That takes time, right? So I would invest the majority of all of my dollars there. Marketing itself comes into play at scale when you've done that work. Marketing can't fix a bad product. I mean, I can get any world at scale. I just can. We've done it 100 times. The rubber meets the road when the customer is buying the product, and then we watch for churn. We watch for signals. We watch for how people are reviewing the product. Like, is this what the customer said it was going to be? You know really quickly if it's not, right? You can waste an enormous amount of money on marketing wishing the market would buy more of your product. If only one person, let's just say if everybody only buys your one time for 1 month, you're going to fail. It might look good on paper. I sold 1 million subscriptions and they all churned out in 1 month. You're out of business. You're just out of business at that point. So you can save a ton of money on the front end by doing the difficult homework and then save all the money you're going to need, which is going to be the balance, 70% or so of all the money for sales and marketing.
Yeah, very, very good, David. So being on the tech space and funding, when do you think that we have this big gap again, venture capitalists and the VCs and the angel investors and the tech entrepreneurs? From one side, when you speak with tech entrepreneurs, they say, I don't know what they want. You know, if I develop the product, they ask me for traction. After I have for traction, they ask me for if I'm making any profit. After I want this, so they are having the taken this conversation and the challenge. And on the other hand, you have the VCs that they speaking like a different language. There's Harry, how can I invest in this? They don't even know how to sell. They don't even show this product to the market. It seems that they are afraid to do so. That's why they're developing and they're trying to answer all the questions themselves, right? That go out there and check what wants and wanted. And also they all what they like is to write code and to develop softwares. Whether here we need a business, we need traction, we need profit, we don't say we don't need this is not a job. Most of these tech entrepreneurs first they coming from a job that they get paid a lot of money. They say I'm going to open my own company, and now in mind you listen CEOs and tech startup founders they're saying, okay, no, this is not my job. And I'm like looking at them and say, guys, if you say in your own company, you're the CEO, that this is not your job, what do you think that the rest of the company is going to say? Especially in a startup with everything is a job of everybody. So about this transition, how would David, in your experience with the entrepreneurs that you have been working on the tech space, how many have you find with this mentality and how coachable they are in terms of the flexibility to say, wow, you know what? David is not a programmer, but actually it makes sense and it's less expensive. And it sounds to me that it's a more clear path, solid and sustainable business idea. But it's so hard, David, to get them out of their mentality. No, no, no. We like to write code. We're gonna create this product that will solve the world, and it's gonna be so good that people will come and buy it. And again, then we have these numbers of failure. So how coachable or can we put out there in order to make the tech entrepreneurs more open, receptive to this process that you just described? That, by the way, I love it.
It's a it's
This is actually how it works, David.
yeah no it's an exercise in humility.
With you.
We work with a lot of what are called technical founders, first time, second time technical founders that aren't CEOs. That
100%.
in their heart of hearts, they really believe what they created is the best thing in the world and it should sell itself, right? And they're
Very common.
as they should. They really do believe that. Then the challenge comes in when it doesn't play out like they expected it to, when it's not selling itself, right? Then they have to rely on something they're not comfortable with, marketing, right? And so usually what happens in most cases, the ones that get funded, the VCs do believe in their product. They believe in the market opportunity. They see they have an MVP. They've done the work to get funded. Okay. Then it doesn't sell itself because most of the early sales come from the founders network and the board of directors, their contacts. Those dry up. Then the founder says, well, now what? Product isn't selling itself. What are we going to do? Right. So they focus on, there's a couple areas. PLG, so product-led growth, which is what everybody wants. Can I instrument my product in such a way that as customers are interacting with it, it sells itself, cross sales, upsells, more seats, all within the product itself. That in most cases doesn't play out the way people would expect it to. Either it's how the product was instrumented or how PLG was instrumented. So it's not an either or. I do a PLG motion and a marketing motion, right? You want one to feed the other. Product-led growth doesn't work if there's nobody in the product. Who's the product going to sell? The product's not going to sell to itself. Somebody's got to drive users in there so the PLG motion starts to prime, right? That's marketing. So then this is where humility comes in. Marketing is emotional. It's subjective. It varies all the time.
It's very draining. You have to think a lot. It's very creative process.
It's not black and white. Parts of it are, right? But even the data can be deceiving. And I'm getting to the point, but even with the data, I see it all the time. Someone will run ads in LinkedIn and it won't work. It's work. They go, okay, let's just kill it. Like not just the campaign, LinkedIn.
Wow.
I go, no, LinkedIn works. You don't. You don't know. You got negative. You only spent $100 trying to reach this big audience and nothing happened. You didn't work. The platform works. All the platforms work. Every single one of them if you do, right? And that's a difficult transition for somebody if they aren't humble, willing to listen. I understand. I hear you. Let's test. Present them with data, move forward inch by inch, and then they get the good ones, get smarter, and they listen.
David, ego, one of the entrepreneurs, and don't get me wrong, we all have ego as an entrepreneur. We think that we can do better. Otherwise, we're not gonna be we won't be entrepreneurs in the first place. So we all have ego. However, manage reaching this point, and that's why you create this product and you think that you can solve a problem. However, at some point, I've been there myself when I started my first business. At the beginning, you start to make some money and you think that you are the big deal, you're the big shot, you are the king of the world, and this huge big ego, right? That you're the big guy, the big deal. Yeah. But then as soon as the company scale, as soon that you need to bring people, not because you are expanding the company, now you need to bring 6 people. As long as you start to bring people, you realize, and this happened to me, that when I started to bring people to my organization, they were all better than me and everything. To the point that one day they told me, Harry, go home. We don't need you. We can grow the company without you, right? So for me I have to change from that process that I'm a big deal, I'm the best on everything, and everybody need to hear what I say, and I'm the big boss here. In order for me to, when I was behaving like that, I was tired, I was exhausted, I was doing everything with myself, and I was working 14 hours, and yeah, I'm making money, and I'm waking up angry and tired every day. when I surrendered that ego and I allowed people to come to the organization and give them a space so they can bring their own ideas and start to set the product, that they came uh, literally in my case, they were better than me, all of them at everything. They were selling the product better than me. They were acquiring the house better than me. There was a property business. They were doing everything better than me. One day I became obsolete in thing. They sent me home. My manager was telling me, Harry, I show you that this thing works better. It just fly and travel the world and don't stay around talking to us and telling us this and that and chatting them up, right?
Mhm.
So David, how this what we're talking about ego, right?
Yep.
And I understand that you working with early stage entrepreneurs. You see the VCs, because they have the money, they make it easy. They always tell me, Harry, tell them in the next idea to call me. This forget it. And they're telling me, the startup founder talking to me and say, Harry, but what's his problem? I want him to invest in this. And I'm trying to articulate, he likes you and you have potential, but you're not an entrepreneur yet. You don't understand and you don't want to surrender your ego to this flow that David just described. And they can see that it doesn't matter how genius you are, how product you are, you won't be coachable enough until you fail completely and you do your second. So, David, is it easier to work with second and third time founders, or still, or have you find first time founders that somehow they on time, like I did, they surrender
Mhm.
the ego and they start to listen or to be coachable and to drop the I product's gonna work and start to take the path, because what you describe, if people simply follow the outline that you describe, it's gonna be way cost effective, especially what you describe with AI, and they will be in the right path to have something that could work, because about success rate as well, and it could work. So what is best to work with? First time founder, second time founder, third time founder, and what is the biggest challenge find in this ego tech people that
Mhm.
sometimes you thinking, because I've done it myself, David, say it's such a shame that these guys have such a good product, but this is a total waste. I need to surrender to this because they're not coachable. This is never gonna work. And it happens a lot, actually. A lot of good products die out there. So tell us, do you have any process, or how can you help tech entrepreneurs? Because at the end of the day, it's sad. They work up really hard. They spend a
Mhm.
lot of money, time, and everything, and it's sad see them fail. And sometimes I feel like kind of hopeless. I say, guys, for one part, I want to cry because you're failing and you waste a lot of money, time, and resources from your family, friends, and so on. But for the second part, you just don't listen. And
Right.
so, how you mitigate this?
So, let's see. So first time founders are the most difficult, really because of lack of experience, right? What makes them not difficult is who they surround themselves by. If they bring in people who know more than they do, which is most people know more than they do, and who have experience and can shore up and sort of smooth out their weaknesses, right? And they have a willingness to listen, they're going to win. They just are,
And it's
right?
possible to win, David, right?
Oh, very much, very, very much so. It is
Tech.
second, yeah, with second time founders, the we've worked with are very good listeners. They listen a whole lot more than they talk, right? They're the first ones to say, I don't understand something. They encourage their people to take chances in a safe environment, right? They're not constantly berating their employees and putting them at risk. But they hired them for a reason and they allow them to do their jobs to their limits. They are the hardest working ones in the company. They don't expect their employees to work the same hours they do because the employees don't own the company. They don't have the same upside. They're never going to. It's the ones who say, why don't you treat you like an owner, work like I do? Why? Pay me like you and give me the same equity. Sure. But it's like they just, the signal to noise ratio for the best is very low. Like they hear, they see the signals. There's a noise and they just don't pay attention to that. They take very good care of their people. They tune out all the noise. They turn their ego way, way, way down. They're as empathetic and caring as they possibly can be to take care of their most important assets, which is their team. And they incrementally march forward together and they win. Those teams 9 times out of 10 are going to win. You may have somebody who is a solopreneur, got funded 10 times the money. I would be willing to bet on somebody that got 10% of the amount of money with those personality types that treats their teams well, works hard, moves fast, iterates fast, fails fast, moves fast. You're going to win.
Yeah. David, now you were talking about they're going out of the comfort zone when they start to realize that that product is not selling in a way that they design it, and now they need to start
Pivot.
to listen to you and pivot, and now they are getting uncomfortable because now they have to do something, right? That in a way the marketing or the sales and it comes sometimes, most of the time, become confrontative and controversial. I have in this broadcast I interview someone that had 3 exits, yeah, and he told me, I say, man, why you done the 4th one? And I said, Harry, I don't have the energy. I don't have the energy to get the fighting and the contradiction. The development and the product development in one end, and the marketing and sales from the other side, where we need to tell the guys, we need the product like this. This is how the market want it. This is how they want to pay. And on the other hand, you have to have this big battle with the product design, like, well, you know what? I'm not gonna do it. This is expensive. We don't have money, right? And on the other hand, they are coding for free what they think they should be, right? And for that they have resources, because if they don't have, they will do it for free. But so who, as a question, in a stage, okay, if you have technically the idea, recipes, you have the founder and a co-founder. One is the software developer, the product, whatever, the CTO, and then you have like the CEO, which should be, in my opinion, the someone marketing, sales, right? Usually, sometimes CTOs almost even the CEO, because they develop this and whatever. But who should be listening to whom, and who take the last decision in this very stage, right? Which is sometimes is determinant, because if something goes wrong and you take the wrong path, you die very quickly.
Yeah.
Or how to avoid this battle, endless battles that we have in all the Star Wars world between product people and marketing and sales.
It starts with the CEO. That's one. The CEO sets the tone. The CEO works with his leadership team to set the strategy, right? Then that they have senior leaders beneath them that they've worked on the strategy on, and they've got milestones associated with that strategy. It can be product development, engineering features, it can be leads for marketing, it can be closed one for sales, but they're all lined up, right? Then things break because they don't operate as you would expect them to, right? That one feature we thought was going to be great didn't work out. That cohort of the customers we marketed to, they don't want to buy this, they want to buy that. So things start to fracture a bit. What doesn't fracture, right, is the vision and the direction the company's going to be going in. Things are breaking all the time in every company on earth, right?
100%.
Everybody has the best intentions, I think Mike Tyson said it. Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face, right? Now you're getting punched in the face. Now, this is when real pros step up, or people become real pros, right? They acknowledge, they don't point. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. They go, I do. What's my role in this? What's our next step? How do we be more effective? Let's get together. Let's move, right? Those are pros. They're not, say, your fault. Well, sales didn't sell enough. That's not going to help sales. What marketing should say is, what can I do to help? Tell me what you think went wrong. Let's figure it out. If marketing and sales runs over to product and says your product is shit, I can't sell it, that creates nothing but tension between the two departments and fear. That's not what you say. They walk over and very analytically say, this is what we've seen. The customer's actually doesn't seem to be resonating with this. What do you think? You built the product, you market tested it. Are we doing something wrong? Like, let's talk this through. Let's figure this out. The CEO is sitting on top of this, making sure all this is happening in a transparent, fast way that is not personal. The people aren't personally attacking each other. The other thing is to align compensation around outcomes that align with everyone's role. The most common thing that happens is there's tension between sales and marketing, mostly because of misaligned compensation, right? Mm-hmm. Sales is, say, compensated for generating leads, and marketing, say, compensated for generating appointments and creating opportunities. And sales is saying, well, that was my lead, and marketing saying that's my lead. No, you're not compensating on the right thing, right? Line up compensation towards outcomes, and it removes most of the tension. Is gone. Engineering is building what at the request of product gets built. Product has done the research, product has the vision. Engineering is building on behalf of product. That doesn't mean they don't have a voice, though. They have a very strong voice in product development. Like, okay, I know you want to build this widget, but that's going to negatively impact these 10 things. Are you sure the market wants this as much as you think it does? Maybe we should test more. And that's an open, healthy, fantastic conversation you want to be having inside of an organization on a daily basis. That's what's happening. You're just trying to get more throughput. You're really trying to fail as you can so you can get the next thing out the door.
Yeah. And so, David, if someone is in love with our conversation, the tech entrepreneurs, they want to know more about you, how can find you, how this process work, how can you help them with?
I'm easy to find. You can find me on LinkedIn under David Baeza. You can find me under the company name on LinkedIn under Botetost. You can find me on Twitter under David Baeza. So I'm fairly prolific out there, so I'm easy to reach.
And David, last message that you have for the tech startup founders that they are stuck. They are exhausted, frustrated. They're thinking that the only solution have is funding, because if money comes, all the problem will be solved, and they are now they're all out there trying for a VC to buy into the idea, and they are experiencing this time of frustration. What is the final message you have for them?
That you're normal.
Yeah, exactly.
You're normal. You're afraid. You're 100% normal. The market's not buying enough. You're freaking out. You don't have enough funding. Welcome to the world.
Welcome to the tech.
Welcome to the world. Like, that is, they're not going to, they're going to give you $3 million instead of $300 million. And what they're looking for is momentum, a spark. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. List building. They're looking for fast, measurable milestones that show you can get done. But being afraid you don't have enough, competitors are out there, AI's eating my lunch. We all feel the same way. It's perfectly normal. It's perfectly okay. As the saying goes, let go of the rope. Focus on your product. Focus on your market. Focus on your customer and everything there. Let everything else and all the noise go.
Yeah, and become unstoppable. That's why the name of this broadcast is unstoppable, because it's all about pivoting and try to do the right adjustment in the product until you get to the product market fit. It happened overnight. Out of the 500 millionaires that we interview here, David, nobody has a right to tell me, Harry, guess what? I create the product and exactly how you envision it. Everybody bought it and I become a millionaire. Still, we re-interview 500 people. No one had told me this story.
Because there's no straight line. It go like this. It goes like this. this, like that, and you go back and forth. It's not like this. It just doesn't happen like that.
That's
There's
not how the
tons of
real
pivots.
world. Exactly.
There's tons and tons of, like, Slack was part of a game.
Yeah,
Slack was
absolutely.
inside of a game.
Great
console.
story. Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't. No, they didn't set out to build Slack. It's
So-
like, but you have to have that. They were paying attention to what was the stickiest thing they created,
Mhm.
and it was
That's
that
the word,
thing.
sticky. That's the
How
word.
do we out of the product and just turn that into a product? And that's a classic pivot.
Amazing, right?
And it
Great
worked.
story. I was like,
Yeah.
I know about this story. Amazing, right?
Yeah.
So, David, thank you so much. They have been fantastic.
My
I think
pleasure.
you're great. You're so clever, and I wish all tech founders and entrepreneurs to, if you could listen twice this broadcast and what David shared with us, to be humble and drop that, surrender to that ego, and listen this blueprint. Your life is gonna be so easy, and you're gonna feel less frustrated, and you can see easy to find. You reach out, because maybe that's all you need to know, right? That sometimes you see tech startup their founders frustrated, exhausted, and they're just starting. They don't even know yet how long this path is actually gonna take to pull this off. And sometimes you have to face it. It doesn't work. Sometimes, or sometimes the pivot so far apart that you don't have any idea, that you start to do A, and actually what people want to buy is B.
Right.
It's way far. And this is welcome to another word. So thank you so much, David. And for all
My
of you
pleasure.
following the broadcast, see you in our next episode of Unstoppable. How brave entrepreneur like David break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Thanks, Harry.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.